review and approve the agenda. I think we all had a chance to take a look at it. Have you, Addison?
Yep.
Yeah. So if I could get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Could I get a second? I'll second. Okay, thanks, Amanda. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Then we'll review and approve the minutes from August, and there were 2 dates that we met in August. Yes. Anybody see any changes? If not, I'll ask for approval.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Okay, and then a second. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, we'll review and approve the financial reports.
While you guys are finishing looking to do the checks, general fund, we have a balance, 1.272 million. That's up about 70,000 from last, or 270,000, or 250 from last year, sorry. PEPAL, 126,358. Save, 182,881. Debt service, 6,164. Management, negative 24,884. Nutrition, 189,878. Activity, 81,244. Trust and agency, 132,440. Activity's about the same place where it was last year, about a $5,000 difference. Management is negative because we had a large balance in there and we wanted to spend it down, and we haven't got our tax money in yet this year, so that's the only reason that's negative. So, you know, other than that, we're sitting better in all the accounts than we were at this time last year.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports.
Can I get a second? If everybody's ready.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public item of discussion, there are none on the agenda for this month. So we'll move on to the board items of discussion, and the first one is modern design.
We've been looking and talking about the possibilities of doing some updating of our facilities. One of the architects we're talking to is Modern Design, Rob Stensland. We've worked with Rob on several other projects. The shop at the high school, the concession stand, and I'm thinking there was another one maybe.
We did some analysis stuff for you.
Yeah.
So, and a little things in the front, so.
Rob Stensland, Kevin McConnell,
Yep.
and
Jim Trunell.
Jim Trunell. So,
Okay,
floor is yours, gentlemen.
thank you. We're gonna hand out, and Kevin will go around and hand out this. We're preliminary, so really what this book is really kind of showing is the process, is what we're really talking about at this point. Okay, Kevin has worked a lot on the shop buildings and some of the other things, and then what we did on the concession stands. So we're located in Janesville, Iowa. Again, my name is Robert Stensland. I'm the principal architect. I own the firm. We've been growing since we've been working with you guys along the way, but we've actually been growing quite a bit. So we have new offices and everything down there, and we're expanding everything that we're doing and more into the schools. We've done. We just finished up Janesville's new projects. I'm not sure if you guys have seen any of that stuff going on down there. Their new gymnasium. Jim actually was a project architect on that and ran that project with Janesville. It was 3 phases. But we did the same thing that we're proposing to work with you on, which was a facility assessment, to really go through and understand what's here, and then make recommendations of what we're seeing. And then we went through the process of going all the way into a design phase of it, presenting it to the community itself, then doing the design after the bond issue. How many bond issues did it take? 2? 3. It took us 3 there, but they were going from a 0 taxation to projects. So they had a big jump to do. So it took a while to bring the community on. But part of the process that we found was when we go through these processes is we got to get the community to buy into the right project, okay? And we'll go through the process a little bit, what we're showing in here, how we do that. So we've gone through that project. We did this with Goose Lake down in Southern Iowa. We did a project with them. We actually did 3 projects with them. Again, our firm fits with the smaller communities because of our size and how we approach the project, a little bit more community oriented. And typically it has a strong superintendent that actually leads what's going on, and that really helps with the process of how it goes through the community. So in this booklet, we'll let you read it. So we have a cover letter, and then we talk about our principals and all of our team that's involved. So again, the uniqueness of modern design is the fact that we own, it's a full architectural firm. I have interior designers, I have everything associated to it. I'm registered in 40-some states now, so I do work all over the United States. And then we do a lot of Midwest stuff, and then obviously a lot of Iowa stuff where we're using the team that you see in here. We also have a large construction company that gives us kind of that ability to understand where our numbers are at, what we're doing when we're doing our budgeting to make sure the projects stay in budget and where they're heading on what we're doing from an overall standpoint. If you look in the booklet, we talk about our master planning team, our bond referendum, and our design team, and it basically gives us a little bit of a teamwork. Kevin had put this together about how we organize those phases, because they're unique phases as you move through the process. And it does change slightly on who's in that phase and what and how that phase is put together. Okay, so as you go through it, and we'll take time as far as the people that are involved. The main thing what we really want to talk about is this master planning service. Okay? And the idea of this
What
is...
page is that on?
I'm sorry, that's 17?
17,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So really what it talks about is the stages that you go through in order to find the appropriate project that matches both the administration and also what the community is looking at, okay? Because there's a process to get through there to make sure, especially when you have a district that's split, and that's what we were dealing with in Goose Lake a little bit more than Janesville. We had to bring the area together, but when you have 2 different towns, there's 2 different priorities that they have. And you gotta find that out through the process. So part of what you're trying to do is put together a process in here that when these stakeholders come in, they all have their say of what they're doing, but you're also moving in the direction the administration needs to go in order for you to have the facilities that you're looking for. So the first phase is obviously the stage 1, which is really talking about the environmental. That's where we're just gathering all the data about what's here, what the goals are, and everything else of what we're talking about as far as the economics of it, the social aspect of it, identifying who's going to be involved, everything about it. That's what we're doing in stage 1, okay? So it's information gathering. And I'm going through this fairly quickly so we can just answer questions. The stage 2 is really the analysis of all that. And going through the process of creating with the board, and mainly with the superintendent driven, is what are those committees? How are we forming the committees? Who are our key people that we want on the committees? And that's where the input of the board, there's obviously key people in the communities that you want on certain things as you go through to build these communities and really start to get that input of what the community is after, what they think they need in the project. Once you build that, that's really administration driven with the key stakeholders in the community, okay? So once we get to that point, then we start conceptualizing the design, okay? And that is from really making a neat addition at the high school, which is a potential thing, or doing something here with as a potential thing, all the way to how do we upgrade and make some areas a little bit nicer. So there's a wide variety of what that is as you conceptualize a project like this. So we look at everything through it, accessibility, we make all the recommendations because we're trying to build that project so we know what needs to be done from an assessment standpoint, and then we start to figure out what we can and want to do that meets the finances, meets the community needs, and meets the balance between the 2 cities, because that's important to how you do this. Then we get to that stage 4, and it's really key the way Kevin has written this and the way we approach this is it's really no different than you're manufacturing something. The idea is we're testing it, okay? That's when we're taking it out in the community. We're not trying to take a project to the community and say, this is what we think you want. This is what we think we need based on what we've been hearing, based on our assessment, so that we get input back. And even in Janesville and down in Goose Lake, the project changed from that point as we started going out there and really asking them, what did they think? What are we missing? Because what you're trying to do is we gotta build that constituents out, everybody through the process, and so everybody has a little bit of ownership, different groups, what do they need, what do they want, so we can get the broadest base that touches everybody for the project to make it fit to what they're trying to do. And we don't know what that's gonna be yet. We know what the list could be as we put it together, but that final project, if you go through this process, then as far as the bonding goes, you really get a better process of what you're presenting to the public on what they think they want, because they feel like they had a process in here, instead of somebody just showing up and saying, hey, we're doing this, okay? And then if we want to hear from the stakeholders, we want the stakeholders presenting the projects, we do some open forums, we do some town hall type settings, and really bring everybody into the mix of how we present that project as we define it as we've gone through the list, okay? So that's the process of the master planning. Once you get to that point, then you can decide from a financial aspect, from a community aspect, what your project's going to be. And then that's the project you take to bond, okay? And you really already have a pretty good sense of where it's heading. And like I said, Goose Lake, we had no issue getting a bond through. Janesville was harder because of the fact that we weren't taking off some taxation to put back on. So they had a bigger gap to go, so we had to go through 2 or 3 times, and we had to refine that project to find out where it was and it fit the community in the right way to actually get what we needed to have done, okay? That's kind of, and then once you get the project done, and we get the bond done and everything else, then we take the concept and then we move into design phases, and then so you're designing the building, you can deliver it in a couple different ways. The delivery methods we talk about in here, you can go out to bid, you can be construction management, you can be project led by the superintendent where he's bringing pieces. The only thing we have to be consistent of is obviously is that it has to be bid out and publicly bid and gone through the right procurement processes. But it can be put together in a lot of different ways in the way we do things today, okay? That's pretty quick, but we wanted to really kind of just present the overall of what this process could be. Joel, do you have anything you want to add to what we're doing here or what you're thinking?
No, we're actually gonna have a SIAP meeting here in the next couple of weeks where we'll get together and we'll talk about this, and we're working, trying to get a survey from one of our neighbors that's already done one, so we can send it out to the community and get some input too.
Mhm.
So we'll hopefully get that done in the next couple of weeks also. The only one I've been able to get a hold of is from Waverly Shell Rock right now.
And then I think
Joel, I have
Yeah.
the one we did at
Janesville.
Janesville.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, so I can PDF that to you.
okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from you guys? A little bit about who we are, what we've done, the process, anything?
I know one of the things we talked about is our timeline here is a little bit shorter than normal, probably.
Yep.
If we decide to go with you, what would the turnaround be on initial set of drawings and things like that? And
Well,
that was a question I had from a board member. so.
The biggest thing is the rhythm has to be set, when we look at the front end of it, is just agreeing with you on how fast we need to go. So the reality of us going quickly is possible. The question is how quickly can we take it through the committee and get our committees put in place? The assessment can be done very quickly. We've actually gone through and, just on our initiative, we've photographed everything. So we've had somebody here on Wednesdays when you didn't have classes, and we've had him here photographing everything. We have some conceptual stuff that we did 2 or 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Yep,
That was
on
fun.
the high school, and and we have the drawings and everything, so we are a little bit ahead of having that information all gathered, ready to go. So it's really about getting your needs to understand the scope, and we kind of walked around and we kind of got it, we kind of have an idea of that, but we have to formalize that, right?
Right.
And then, so we can at least get that assessment done, really understanding what needs to be done, what we have, and get a sense of what that budget could be, right? So as quickly as we can do that is how fast this can go. Getting it ready to go through a referendum, the issue really is how do we bridge and how fast can we bring the community onto what we're doing, right? There's gonna be a rhythm there that's gonna be too fast and too slow, right? In order to bring everybody on to it, to what we're doing. So we just have to figure that out with you guys, of how fast you think you can move your stakeholders into taking it out. Because I think if you go too fast, you run the risk of them just ramming it down them. You go, but I know you want to go fairly quickly for a lot of reasons, so.
What is normal, the whole process?
18 months, I mean, to start construction? To actually start construction?
From stage 1 to,
Referendum.
yeah,
We usually figure somewhere in that 8 to 12 months. From the start of this phase
Yep.
to the point where you're breaking ground.
And I know we have this idea of wanting to do this sometime in the summer to fall. It can be done, it's just the only concern is can you bring your community fast enough with you, okay? That's really, I mean, we can do the work to have it ready. It's just, can we do the committees, can we bring the stakeholders, can we get everybody in line to think that you're gonna go have that referendum, right? So, I mean, the way you win referendums is you have a really good idea of what your vote is long before it ever happens, right? So that's where those community meetings and everything else really comes into play.
And typically, you don't want to pay for special elections to where you get them out of the cycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because then you absorb all that cost, rather than being them partnered up with other election processes.
So, as far as timing, we'll go back to this comment. I've grown my firm quite a bit with adding people with experience. Jim was with structures and has done a lot of school projects before he came to us. Kevin has ran 2 or 3 of my projects, so we brought in a lot of internal people that understand bond issues, understand running projects and everything else, so that we have the broad-based capabilities of being able to do this quickly. So it's really, your timing is really gonna be about your timeline of what we think we can get done, okay? And with standing up committees and everything else.
from now to March, that'd be achievable.
It is.
That's what
It is, if we think we can get the right stakeholders, the answer is modern design can get the work done. Yeah, we can get the work done, that's not the problem, it's just, can we stand up the committees that we need to make that happen is gonna be kind of, you guys have gotta really think that through. And I think you've already started that process in your mind, Joel, I think it can be done. Certainly,
had
modern
some
design would not be a
conversations
problem in getting it done, it's we can get everything else ready. Now, from a timing, I believe that's when it comes off, is that correct?
In May.
Yeah, in May. So from a timing aspect of it, it would be great if we could do that. Be ready by that date. I just, like I said, we just have to make sure that once we get the assessment done right away, so we get a good sense of what we're doing, so we know what we're talking to people about as quickly as we can. And I think Joel has a pretty good idea where he's heading with this. And then, like I said, I think we just have to get it down on paper enough and budget it enough so that we know what that means from the district.
We've got some really good feedback from the staff already, and I'm assuming we'll get more here in the next few days too.
And we've
Like
actually,
last week.
like I said, we've actually done a lot of walking, we've done a lot of evaluation, we've done a lot of photographing to really understand where we're at with it and what we're doing. So from a design aspect of it, as far as the stages of evaluation, we can get that done fairly quickly.
So if March is the next opportunity for a bond, what would be the next one after that?
September.
That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
Yeah, and that's the problem, it's such a leap that you're waiting to get to there, so, I mean,
You just wanna check with timings, you don't wanna rush through a process like this and
Yeah.
yeah.
then you gotta live with it.
I think,
down the road.
I think you're in a
Try to find
position
it
where
through it,
it's
yeah.
unique
Yeah.
enough, I think to move it along quickly is not gonna really be a hindrance, I think. I think people would probably follow along with what you're doing because of where you're at with it and bringing one off and bringing one on. But again, we just have to make sure we bring them along, that we get their input quickly with them. That we're involved with them, and it just doesn't seem like we're independent dropping it on them, is really the issue, right?
And we want to get feedback about what their thoughts are on what we need and where they'd like to see us go
Right.
over the next 20 years too. So.
Right. So in your case, what we'd have to do is generate a lot of information quickly, and I think we can do that. And we're sitting, I mean, realistically, you could probably be able to do the evaluations, do everything we're doing, and get it out by sometime in November, most likely, middle to end of November, so you can get two of them before, we don't want to bring it out during the holiday, obviously, that's harder. But get it out before, and then that gives you enough time to respond and everything else, but we could make that happen if that's the direction you're heading.
Any questions? Other questions?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to at least present an idea to you, so, thank you a lot.
Thanks, yeah.
Let me know if you need anything.
I will.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, bus lease and purchase agreements.
This is just a discussion item, but our lease is up on our buses in April, and the turnaround time on buses right now is kind of extended. Right now, we have 8 currently leased, and Travis has them listed, that it's all on the board site there. We have a balloon payment that we have to make on these buses, then basically they return it. But the purchase price of a new bus is $103,000. And if we lease 8 buses, generally speaking, is we're basically paying for the cost of a bus each year. I guess to me it doesn't make sense for us to not continue to lease and continue to run new equipment that's under warranty. I know most of you know that when I got here, we were still running the 1996 bus down the road in 2014, and you can't do that. That's not safe. It's not advisable. And
we have a lot of repair costs in there
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, replacing the motor on a bus is $20,000. So, at least.
I know all about it.
Yeah, so my personal preference would be to continue leasing. We just need to decide if we want to purchase any of the buses that we currently have under lease to keep, to run on some routes and stuff, or that we can add miles up on, or if we just want to roll them all over and go with new ones. Is basically the biggest decision in my mind. You guys might have some different thoughts on that, but that's where we're at. And this is the information that Travis was able to get from the truck centers, but that's where we've gotten them. They changed their name, but it's the Thomas buses. Our drivers prefer them over the other ones quite a bit, just because of what we're able to get with them. And, we've had a lot of really good luck with them.
So we want to buy one back, I guess I'm not understanding.
If we want to buy it, it's the $52,260.
Okay,
Just that balloon payment.
Okay.
It's out for us.
These are the 8 that we lease. How many do we have? Just these 8 or?
No, we have several others.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have. I think we bought a couple off the last lease, but then we traded one of them on the new handicap bus. So I think we have one of those, and then the 2 handicap buses.
these would be a more traditional bus like we've got instead of
Yes,
the transit
that
buses.
would be the traditional
Okay.
bus like we have. So basically spec'd out the same thing that we have right now.
Have seatbelts in them yet or not?
I believe that everything that we get from this point forward is built with seatbelts. So I don't know if we can even get them without seatbelts anymore. I'm thinking they changed the law on that. I think it went into effect like October of last year. So, but that's the information that we got. If you guys are okay with it, I'll have Travis go ahead and get a quote so we can bring it to the October board meeting, get the ball rolling so the buses are ready in April. Oh, okay. So we have more than I thought.
And are all those in good shape and
Okay, I'll have Travis put together a list of what we got in miles and everything and send it out to you.
Because it'd be nice
So we
to
have all
know
that.
if
Yep.
he recommends that we
Yep.
purchase one. or-
I'll just have him include all the small vehicles on it too, as long as we're doing it. And
Well, and if we've got an older bus that, struggling to get past inspection or whatever.
Then we can trade that in, too.
Time to get rid of some of
Yeah,
those
right.
9
and,
miles and keep those.
Yep.
Right,
yep.
right. No, that sounds good,
All
so.
right. I will have him take care of that. I'll talk to him in the morning.
Okay. The next item is to approve the annual report.
This is just, it's approving the things that went into the CAR, which is the Certified Annual Report. The first thing, we looked at, is our balance sheet. Our unspent balance went up $377,000. I told you guys wrong in our meeting earlier. I was thinking the other district, so.
Okay.
But we went up about $377,000 from $826,000 to $1.2 million, which, I think is doing well for us. I don't think we need to have an unspent balance that high, so we'll figure out some ways that we're not trying to cash taxpayers' money. I do think some of that we can give back to our staff this year. We've not been able to give as much as we probably would have liked to the last couple of years, so I think it's a good time to get some of that back. We have the budget crosswalk. Basically, at general fund, we had our total expenditures for the last year were about 7.4 million. So let's see, total, I gotta find the slide over here. Total expenditures were in the $9.4 million area with all our other funds and everything else. Which would be anything that's not tied to the general fund, our capital, our save, management. All those. Let's see.
Yeah, those two up there.
Okay. So those are the only ones we put out there, but I would say that we had a pretty good year overall, and I think the board has made some really good decisions that leave us in a really good spot financially.
And we had talked and you shared some information on enrollment, but it looked like overall enrollment was comparable.
Enrollment is comparable. We're actually up quite a bit at the high school, and we're down a little bit at the elementary, but it was pretty much a wash on it. So that,
Yeah,
that's a
that
good sign
helps.
for us. And if we can just balance that out, we're in a really good spot, I think.
Yeah, so that's great.
And the state's done a nice job of giving us some supplemental state aid the last couple of years, and so we've gotten a little bit of additional money, and that's a good thing.
Does anybody have any questions on the annual report? If not, would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thanks. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same, motion carried. And next, we're gonna approve the SIAC membership.
That's the whole thing.
Very bottom.
Yeah.
There it is, yeah. The administrative team, we talked about SIAC members. A lot of it is the people that we had on last year and didn't finish the year. We've added 2 students, a male and a female from each class. We've got a good selection of staff on there, Lori and Eric for board members, president and vice president. And then we have community members from all 3 of our communities listed. And I think we have a real good representation. We did ask a couple of people to participate because of their careers and the things they do, because of the possibility of a building project coming up. So I think that we would take a group from the SIAC would be our main core group as we look forward to moving forward with our project, if that happens. So I would recommend that we approve the SIAC committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the SIAC membership.
I'll second. Okay, thanks. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same, motion carried. And then approve, how do we pronounce that acronym?
The SBRC,
Yeah,
School Budget Review Committee.
okay, so it doesn't have a catchy,
No,
okay.
No,
All right.
and they're not a lot of fun to go visit.
no, they are not.
Okay,
Been there, done
okay.
that.
Yeah, a
Request
few
for
times.
sped deficit?
Yep, we had a special education deficit of $299,561.97. I would recommend that we request that amount of authority from the SBRC. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to tax for the full amount when it comes budget time, but we don't want to give up any of our spending authority.
Yep.
How much is that up from last year, the sped deficit?
Not much.
Not much, I couldn't remember. I knew it was in the 200,000.
Yeah.
Just was curious.
I
I think I looked at that just a little bit.
I
ago.
actually have
Okay.
that right here. It's, less than $7,000,
Wow,
about
okay,
6,900.
so it's very comparable.
Yep.
And this is the same action we took last year too. if I
Yes.
remember right.
Yep.
So, okay. Okay,
I will make a motion to approve the SBRC request for sped deficit.
thanks. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is to approve the NIAC current enrollment contract.
This is just something that we do every year to approve the classes that we have kids enrolled in, that they get credit both for high school and for NIAC. They have to be contracted now through NIAC. We do have the opportunity to do some PSEO stuff through some of the other schools in the state also. So I would recommend that we approve this contract with NIAC. They've been a really good partner for us.
I'll make a motion to approve the NIAC enrollment contract.
Okay, could I
I
get
will second that.
Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. The next one is the approve the CSIP goal?
CSIP.
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 Continuous
See?
School Improvement.
All right, there we go. See, I was afraid to tackle that. All right.
These will actually be the same goals that we approved last year under the direction from the Department of Education. They encouraged us to use the same goals from last year, being that we didn't finish the year.
Oh, okay.
We can't just go with what we approved last year?
We have to approve it by law.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
So since we kept the same goals, our long-term goal changed. We'd make a few adjustments with that, so we extended out that long-term goal from 2022. We stretched that out to 2024, if that makes sense,
Gotcha.
since we made the adjustment this year.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor signify with aye.
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 Opposed, the same, motion carried. Approve law plan.
Loud plan, and
Oh, wow.
the loud plan is our ESL plan. And it's just, these things are things that we have to approve every year. Did we make any changes to the loud plan? I don't believe we did.
We really didn't. The only thing that changed were just the membership on the leadership team.
And the
Just
dates.
changed some titles and roles, and a few, couple former board members were on there, so.
Oh, sure. And I didn't have any questions on that. So could I get a motion to approve?
I will make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify with aye. Aye, opposed the same, motion carried. Approve mentoring plan.
This is another addition to the CSEP. We have to approve our mentoring plan for the year. I don't believe we made any changes to that other than maybe some personnel items also.
Yeah, just one minor adjustment, just with our second-year teachers, very small, just the requirement for them to meet monthly.
Yeah, I thought it looked like it's been a solid plan and continues to be, so I didn't have any questions. Anybody have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the mentoring plan.
Okay, could I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. All in favor signify with aye.
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 Opposed, the same, motion carried. Approve the tag plan.
Again, this is just another one of those items we have to approve every year, and I don't believe there were any changes to this one.
A couple changes.
Okay, see?
Minor.
See how I am?
And one change is we're just kind of in the process because of our new assessments that we're taking this year with the MAC testing and also with the ISASS, since we did not take that. And in their reporting, it's a little different. We used to base our identification, one piece of our identification was on the national percentage rate, which we do not get with the ISASS, but we're kind of working to create, to change that process, which is highlighted in the plan. And And one other change or addition was for the high school, we are using the ACT as another form of identification. Our students are taking it.
Any questions on the tag plan? If not, could entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve tag plan.
Thanks, did I get a second?
Second that.
All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Approve elementary fundraiser.
Laura, as long as you're here, would you like to take this one?
Sure. We have an opportunity to bring a live stream presentation called the Ned Kindness Adventure, which supports our Bearcat Way. Being kind is one of our big initiatives with the Bearcat Way. And it's a pretty amazing presentation because it integrates some work that is being done with providing wells in Kenya and Africa. And so the story revolves around some of that, and the kids are introduced to African culture. And then artisans actually have made some artifacts, and some of the proceeds from the fundraiser goes to pay for or to reimburse those artisans, which helps enhance their lifestyle too. So, and there's no cost to our school at all to have this presentation. The way it's funded is students have the opportunity to purchase the artifacts made by the artisans, and there's no cap on how much we have to sell. Whatever we sell is enough, and that covers that presentation, which runs about $1,400 if we were to just ask to have that come to our school. So it really offers lots of cross-curricular opportunities, especially within social studies. You know, it's a pretty amazing presentation that we could offer our students. So our school we won't be raising any money for our school. We'll be just raising the funds to enable us to have that presentation presented.
Okay. Sounds like a neat opportunity. So we need to approve the elementary fundraiser. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
I'll second. Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Approve disposition of obsolete shop equipment.
We just have a few items up at the high school, and because the cost was over $500, it has to come to the board to get rid of it. Most of it just needs to be taken to the landfill. There may be an item or two that'd be worth something to somebody, and if there is, we can put that out for a sealed bid. But I think most of it just needs to go to the landfill, but we need more approval to get rid of it.
What are those items? Do you have an answer? If you don't have
One,
two-
I think one was a planer that doesn't work. I know there was two things that didn't work for sure, and I don't remember what the rest of them were.
Okay.
It's
Just.
been almost a full month since Ben and I talked about it.
Power tools and.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, it's all power tools of some sort.
Gotcha.
They're fairly ancient.
Yeah, I kind of thought so.
And I don't remember even if there was any that worked at all. I think it was just stuff.
And
that
we've
we needed.
replaced them since then.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep,
Okay.
They all have working alternatives, I assume?
yes,
Okay.
yep,
It's taking up space.
yep.
Okay. Can I get approval to dispose of those items?
I'll make a motion.
Did I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Now on to COVID items.
First thing we have here is concerts, at least at the elementary level, and I don't know if this carried over to the high school level too, did it? Okay. But right now, we don't think it's in the best interest of our students and our staff to hold concerts because of the lack of ability to social distance. They'd have to sing and play in masks, and it just doesn't seem feasible at this time, so I think that we need to postpone any concerts until at least the end of the semester, or until we get clearance to do those things from the state.
What if we usually have some sort of Christmas
Yeah.
holiday concert?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
would be what would be
And
impacted?
the high school does some things to get ready for their competitions and that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a few.
Okay. And the high school still would have their competition, like their ensembles and that kind of stuff?
Yes,
It
they're-
would just be for public, we wouldn't have a public.
Right, yeah, and their other competitions are actually, most of them so far are going to be remote.
Okay.
Has the state given any guidelines on that kind of thing yet?
And the remote,
For more so for just concerts and
not other than that they need to wear the masks and that just isn't.
it's not really feasible?
No.
Allstate could be a real mess this year.
Yeah.
Is that something we need to approve?
Yeah, because it is a change to our district calendar.
All right, we'll go ahead and approve those individual items. So could I get a motion to approve that we will not have any concerts, public concerts, through this semester? And I guess in your case, it's
Trimester.
Yeah, trimester.
Yeah.
I'll
And
make a
if
motion.
the numbers go down and it would be safe to hold a Christmas concert, could that be reconsidered in November?
I would say
Yes.
definitely.
I
Yes.
think let's make a motion instead of canceling to just simply postpone
Postponing.
them until
Good idea.
when we feel it's safe to hold such an event.
Good
We've got to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Postpone
Postpone public concerts until,
Until safe to do so.
That sounds good. Okay, could I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. All in favor?
There.
okay, sorry.
It's okay. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Now closing and reopening decisions.
I'm not sure why I put these next two on there as two separate things, because it's really the same thing.
Mhm.
But I guess the big thing for us is we'd like some guidance on where to go. We need to make a decision on where we go at the end of September here with our learning model. I know that we've been up and down Butler County and Floyd County as far as numbers of other recent cases have been up and down. The state numbers that they give us to be able to request to go online completely are at 15% positivity rate and 10% absentee. But that doesn't mean necessarily that if we decide we're gonna come back face to face, that we don't have the ability to move back to a hybrid model at some point. And I think that, John and I had a good conversation about this today, and the admin team, we've talked about it quite a bit, and I guess we would like some solid guidance on where to go with it too. And I kind of like the conversation that John and I had today, that whereas if, maybe if we're below 10%, then we can come back face to face, with some caveats in there we'll talk about too. And then if we get to 10% positivity in either county, then we go back to a hybrid model, and then when we get to the 15 and the 10, then we would apply to the state just as an automatic. And I guess I kind of like that. I think those are good numbers. Although I'm still not sold that coming back full face-to-face is the right thing to do for our district right now. We did put out a survey to the staff, and that was available to you guys, and we got some good feedback from the staff on that. I do know we have some staff and some students that still would prefer that we stay in a hybrid model for a while. But then again, it's not our decision. I would say that even if we do come back face to face, there's some things that we could do to allow the staff to keep Wednesdays at least for a while for professional development. And one of those things would be to provide 4 hours of online learning for those students, for our students on Wednesdays, so that instead of losing the whole 6 and 2/3 hours a day, we're only losing like 2 2/3 hours a day. Then every 4 or every 3 weeks, we'd only lose 1 day, and we have extra days built in at the end for our educational time, for our contact time. So that would be the suggestion that I would make if we do choose to go back face-to-face, that we still maintain those Wednesdays without losing a full day of contact time.
So you're still gonna have people online, or students online?
We would still have, all the students would be online on Wednesdays,
Mhm.
if we would go back that way. And I would say that it might be good that even if we stay in the hybrid model, that maybe we move to that after the end of September, we move to where we're counting Wednesday as a contact day for part of that day with online learning, so that then we're not losing that full day. So
How many days do we have full-time?
I'd have to count, but it was like 40-some hours or 50-some hours. I don't remember, because I have the two calendars, and one was 40, and I think it was 60 over here.
I have this on the calendar hours.
I think we're 11:47 here.
I could see an advantage of having.
So we had
students-
67 and a half hours, so almost 10 days.
I could see an advantage of having, if we go back, having kids work online on Wednesdays. That would keep them kind of in the groove of having to do some work online, so that if we had to go back to a hybrid, because numbers indicated that, then they're still kind of in the groove of how to get that done. So I kind of like that idea to get, at least to get us through October. I mean.
And I gotta admit, that wasn't my idea. That was thrown at me when I went up to the high school
Yeah,
today, so.
but I mean, I can see some value in it, especially when many of the teachers are saying they still need those PD days.
Well, and my biggest
You know,
concern
back
still,
full-time with Wednesdays off, or stay with the hybrid, you're seeing it face-to-face every day, what do we do?
my biggest concern still is making sure that we have enough time for our teachers to do the planning, because even if we do come back full face-to-face, we still got students that are at home full-time.
Yep.
Right.
I did speak with public health also, and she just shared with me that, us being hybrid and some of the other schools that are back full-time face-to-face, we have had a lot less students that have had to quarantine compared to those schools, where they've had pretty large numbers of students out due to
Okay.
quarantining because of exposure.
Will they get some herd immunity quicker and get back at it quicker than us by being hybrid, or?
That's gonna take
Eric
some
asked
time.
me, so I guess I'll answer. It seems like perhaps it's too early to tell. Our numbers are going down in Butler County, they're going up in Floyd County. Our absentee rates are all over the place right now, from between, I'd say, 2% and 4%, based on what the state says we can count as absentee rate. I would say we probably have more kids quarantining right now than we ever have before. We had 11 in our building today and 7 at the elementary. So the numbers of students that we have to quarantine continues to go up. So regardless of whether we go back to school full-time or not, we're still gonna have to provide online instruction to those that are out for quarantine or those that are remote.
And I guess my biggest concern isn't the kids, I'm concerned with the kids getting sick. I'm more concerned about being able to staff the buildings.
Right.
Because if we have too many staff out, then we can't have school. I mean, we only have a couple subs the way it is.
I know this is a big request, but I'd almost like to see you wait to make that decision a couple more weeks, if we're talking about coming up back on October 1st and seeing if the numbers are still down.
Because just last week, they were going up, and now this week, they're kind of coming back down, so
Mhm.
it's kind of.
Because I would
And-
hate
and I
for you
would
to
say
say
that-
we're coming back and then the numbers go up.
We're probably gonna need to have.
That was my idea, was if the numbers are steady right now and kids need to be in, and if they say that's steady, I don't feel it's ever gonna be below that 5%.
No.
In my opinion, unless,
No.
not with everything open. Because that's why you stick between that 5 and 10.
No.
But as soon as you see the numbers go up, then we're always capable of going back to the hybrid.
And I will say that,
And I
some of
just
the
give an October
conversations.
1 because it's, just threw a date out there, it's Thursday, it's a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks away yet. So, but it could still, something to start thinking about.
I think the biggest thing is that we gotta help these kids understand that their weekends are important. I got an email from a teacher that they had some 8th graders that had a poker tournament over the weekend, and every one of them's quarantined now. We've had one of the superintendents that shared amongst two districts told me that he's had to shut down volleyball season in both of those districts at one point or another. I know we've had several football programs in the area shut down. I think that no matter how careful we are, it's not if, it's when these things are gonna happen. And right now, I think the model that we're in has helped us to not see those things.
We've had a few instances, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we have had a few instances where, since we were hybrid, we kind of lucked out on having to quarantine a large group of people because it just so happened on the days that they were there, they hadn't exposed anybody, so.
And we have had students test positive, but the parents have done a nice job of keeping those kids home once they started showing symptoms, so we've not, I mean, there's been cases where we haven't even had to contact trace because parents kept the kids home, and I think that that's really important for the kids to make sure that they're sharing with their parents when they're not feeling well. I know we had several other kids tested last Friday. Those tests both came back negative that I know of, but in that case, again, you know, both sets of parents kept the kids home and just in case. So, you know, that's the way it needs to happen, and very thankful that our parents are thoughtful enough to do that. But on the other side of that, you know, if we weren't in the hybrid model, there's a chance that those kids would have been here and contaminated somebody before they went home or didn't show up.
So lose-lose.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
No matter what we do, we're wrong, so it's so unprecedented that you just don't know where to go with it. And that's why we'd like some guidance.
I guess I'd say err on the side of caution a little bit, stay with the hybrid for, you know, even another month, you know, just see how things shake out a little bit.
I tend to agree with Eric. I think that maybe, if anything, we opt in for adding those 4 hours on Wednesdays as contact hours that we can add in, but maintaining that hybrid model, I think, at least until mid-October, will at least make a lot of people feel.
We had already planned to run the way we are until the end of September. So, and we talked about running to the end of the first quarter in the hybrid model, which the end of the first quarter is in October. So we just plan on running till the end of the first quarter in hybrid model, just for the month of October, add those online hours during Wednesdays.
I think that seems like a reasonable option to me. My only concern with that is if we add those 4 hours, then are we no longer in compliance with what the governor has ruled?
No, actually, that makes us more in compliance.
Okay.
You're making her happy.
Ms. Tracy, do you have any
Yeah.
suggestions from a younger student perspective?
Well, I do know that the model that we're using currently there's been a couple of times, as Mrs. Landers indicated, when we've had somebody in here with a fever or whatever, but because we had our masks, we were physically distanced, we didn't have to do anything beyond send that student home. There was no exposures. And my concern with bringing everybody back on campus right now, especially in our 5-6 wing, there is no room. Those kids are like jammed in there like sardines. And so they will have to have that mask on all day long unless they get to leave the space and get a mask break somehow. You know, so I just feel like we're gonna lose the edge we have on minimizing risk when you start to pack students in so tightly. And lunch too, you know, they have to take their masks off for that. How do we put all those students in that lunchroom and have a safe lunch?
Right.
You know, I don't know, and we do have, and you don't know who really is vulnerable with this virus. I mean, there's trends that you can predict who is at less risk, but we don't know that for sure. And, you know, I don't know if life matters, and I think we should do the best we can to give our kids a good education, but I don't know that we should risk loss of life or even that someone's health could be compromised long-term, because there's also that, we don't know those things about this virus. And you know, I don't know, it's a pretty big gamble to
Yeah.
take.
Well, thank you, that sounds very good, because if kids came back full time, they would have to have those masks on. I mean, they would be pretty close together in those rooms, and I know there are schools that are doing that, and, I don't know how successful they are and how the kids are coping with it.
Mrs. Miller, your kids wear their masks all day long at Waverly Shell Rock, and you've given us some information. Would you like to speak to that? You don't have to.
I'm not taking it
No,
back. I'll just say they're miserable. They wear it all the time, whether it's to the bathroom or sit with people and they're close to each other and are around. Last week was tough because my middle schooler could eat outside for many weeks, and then last week it rained, so they had to find a place to put them. The rest of it I'll keep to myself, just because. So thank you. Yeah, nope, so I think it's tough, but
Okay.
You know, the other thing we got coming is the holidays, so everybody's gonna be traveling and spreading stuff around too, so, yeah, that's gonna be the next wild card, what that does to our numbers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we can only make decisions kind of in a short term.
Yep.
You know, because we've gotta kind of wait and see what happens, but I think tonight we at least need to make a decision to get us through until the next meeting, where we can discuss it again and look at how things have gone, and so we can let parents know and so they can plan.
Guess my vote would be to carry on with what we're doing with the hybrid schedule and, or model, and, you know, at least for, you know, I'd say till the end of October anyway. And that way we can address it again at our October meeting.
Yeah, those Wednesday hours or not.
Can, don't have to.
Do what's that,
But
Amanda?
the Wednesday hours, the 4 hours.
We're
is
still,
that-
I think we're still doing well enough right now. We're just with 4 Wednesdays, I think we'll be okay if we don't add them right now. I don't wanna overburden these guys either and throw this at them
Right.
tomorrow. So it might be something that, this way we can have some time to get ready to adjust to it.
But if we started that in October, would that give them enough time? I'm just.
We haven't even
throwing it out
talked to them about it, because
Okay.
it's something that we just discussed
Yeah.
today, and we still have the time that we can use.
Okay, I just didn't
So-
wanna run them short of PD days, because
Right.
what if this, which is very likely, doesn't change? I mean, we don't get a vaccine, so we've gotta deal with this the entire year. I'd hate to see us get too short on PD days
Right.
too, so
Yeah.
that's my only
You know,
thinking.
and like I said, I think we still have plenty of time, and it's just adding a couple of more days, and we were gonna have to make an adjustment to the calendar tonight anyway for one of those Wednesdays, because we'd already scheduled, the MAPS, testing, professional development, and I forgot about it, so we were gonna have to make that adjustment to the calendar anyway, so. So I guess at this point, I think we leave the Wednesdays alone until we get closer to the end of that first quarter, and then we can do that, I think. That would be my,
Just a couple other things to be mindful of if you go back face to face. Neither one of our buildings will fit in our cafeterias anymore. You know, we'll have to find, probably our gyms to keep the children far enough apart.
Okay.
And then do you have enough tables, and the janitors are doing more. And then just one more thing to be mindful of. You know, like when we do hybrid, or when we go face to face, or when we are not there at all, every time our ordering for lunches is different.
Mhm.
So, and we can't always, we'll get it done, but, you know, it's, like, today's order was a lot different than typically it has, because we'll be delivering quite a few meals and stuff, but,
Okay,
you know, it just doesn't happen overnight always.
yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
And I think with that too, consider the parents.
Mhm.
It's hard for them to flip back and forth and figure out, you know, I think by now they have a plan, but it's hard to figure out if you're gonna do this on Monday, you know, where do the kids go, or how does that change if you're gonna flip flop it around?
And I think that's why it's important that we make this kind of a decision tonight, so that we can give, you know, everyone enough heads up that they can plan accordingly. And I think that as we continue to make decisions, we want to make decisions far enough ahead that, you know, people are able to.
Well, and that's why we were one of the first districts in the area that set our plan out and got it out to the public, because we don't wanna have to, oh, by the way, this is what we're doing, so, you know, take care of it. And that's not the right thing to do either.
How do the kids seem to be doing? I mean, I know they missed the end of last year and now they're in a new grade. I mean, how is this working for the kids in terms of catching up? I'll use the term catching up, that might not be the right phrase to use.
In the elementary, the kids are far more focused. I haven't had one argument to work through with a kid. Not one. Where a year ago at this time, I probably would have had 30, 40, a lot. So there's limited conflict, if any, that's going on. The kids are very focused. They seem really happy to be at school. And I think, as I talk to the teachers, they feel like they're more able to deliver some individualized instruction in a way that they couldn't have before. Because they have time for those individualized conversations. They're not as rushed. There's not as much management to contend with, so there's more time for genuine instruction.
That's good feedback.
I think at the secondary level, I would say ditto to what Mrs. Tracy just said. We have had minimal behavior issues. It's been very nice, I think, for both teachers and students to come back in small groups. That gave the teachers a really good chance to build relationships, to work in small groups with students and get students caught up the best that they can. Not all sunshine and rainbows. It's been difficult for students and teachers alike to figure out hybrid learning. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I can tell you that our teachers are spending probably more time outside of class right now than they ever have before, just trying to figure out hybrid learning and how to help students at all hours of the day as they email or ask questions. But I feel like they're just getting in that routine and getting used to it, and changing right now might cause more chaos. But it would be good to continue this and maintain that for another few weeks at least.
Well, that's good feedback to have, because we want it to be the right thing for the kids, and for the faculty, but we want the kids to have the good learning environment, and so that's great feedback. So what are we looking at kind of as a consensus, that we would stay in this model through October or through the end of first quarter, which I know doesn't align with your trimesters, but that would still be workable if that, and do we know what date that is? So do you have that?
I have parent-teacher conference days, but I was looking, I don't see where you have the end of the
It
quarter.
would be October 23rd, I believe.
I'm just looking ours up.
Because that then would be a little bit beyond our next board meeting, which is the 12th. And then we could have the discussion at the 12th again in terms of where we're at and.
I have October 27th as the end of our first.
Okay, October 26th, yeah, 2 weeks.
You know what day of the week that is?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, so that would be bringing the students full-time back on a Thursday then,
Yeah.
which would align well.
Okay. Any other thought, and then, Joel, you're fine with staying with the PD days, the full days?
Yep,
for
I'll
that
make
period of
the
time?
adjustments to the calendar and the hours.
Okay. Anybody have any additional thoughts on that issue, or are we all okay with that? Okay, then I would entertain, go ahead.
Will somebody send something out with the change of dates in?
Yep.
Okay. The last thing goes, it'll be September, so.
Yep, I will make sure we send something out, and I'll update the calendar and get that out.
And I think originally we said that it might be through October.
Yep.
And then we said, well, we would reevaluate it at each meeting, so.
And I would put on there when you send that out, Joel, that, hey, we're gonna look at this again in our October meeting, and,
Right.
you know, it might stay the same, it might change, depending on what the numbers are.
Right.
Right. The numbers and what the kids' experiences are and the faculty's experience, and just so we can create the safest and best learning environment for the kids as possible, so.
Right. I think it's very important to stress, as we always have, that this is a very fluid approach, and, you know, we are constantly having to reevaluate, so.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion that we stay in the hybrid method with the same PD day schedule that we're using right now through the end of first quarter or October 27th for the elementary. Get a
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now we have a 2021 calendar adjustment.
And we just talked
So you
about all that, so I'll take care of that and get it out.
Okay, and we don't need a approval on that?
No, 'cause it was part of-
It's part of
It's
that.
part of this other
Okay,
motion. so.
very good. Well, then we're on to personnel.
We just have a couple of things in personnel. Lindsay's contract had been wrong according to what we had in the master contract. She needs to be on the master contract, so we've adjusted that. She'd be at BA step 9 plus 25 per diem days, so we need to approve that. Hannah Gershnoff for junior high girls basketball coach. And then Julie Bloom as an associate, substitute associate pending background check. And then as volunteer, Brian Tabbert for volunteers for wrestling pending background paperwork. I would recommend that we approve those personnel items.
I will make a motion to approve those personnel items.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, we're on to adjournment. 20 items tonight, so it was a big night.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
In an hour and 6 minutes.
All in favor signify with aye.
I will second.
Oh, okay, I was moving fast. Okay, thanks, everyone.